Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. It looks like everybody's here that I think is going to be here today. So I will have you lay down in Shavasana, head facing me. So just laying flat on your back. And this week we are continuing our Beyond the Pose series. We are now in our Niyamas, which is our second limb of the 8 limbs. And we are on our third Niyama, which is Tapas. And Tapas is about building heat. It's about transformation. It is about self-discipline. So when we think of this, think of like that internal fire, your self-confidence, your courage, your personal power, how you feel about yourself all comes from our solar plexus, comes from where we build heat to burn away things that don't serve us. It's also about self-discipline. So with tapas, self-discipline can be putting into practice some mindfulness practices that you've cultivated. So sticking to those when life seems a little chaotic, a little overwhelming. Sometimes we get caught up and we have a little too much fire within us. We have a little outburst maybe, or we don't handle something as skillfully as we meant to or thought we should, or um, we look back and think, oh, I could have said that differently, or that's not very centered of me. Always looking at things without judgment, but also creating some space and room for growth there. So recognizing those things when we look back and reflect and asking ourselves, how can I incorporate my practice into this and become a little more self-disciplined and come back to center and find contentment, which is where we had talked about last week with Santosha, is finding that balance, that joy, even in those moments that are a little difficult to handle. So mindfulness practices that we can incorporate as a practice of tapas is maybe even not coming to your mat. Maybe you are thinking of things outside of yoga as a physical practice. So maybe a 5-minute walk or a 5-minute meditation. It could even be just being more mindful about how we eat and saying, for the next 30 days, I'm going to make sure I eat breakfast, and kind of reminding yourself to stay with that practice. That is all a part of tapas. So during our practice today, thinking about building an intentional practice on and off the mat, some things to think about, maybe how does our practice make us feel, to try something new. So some of you are new here today and maybe tuning into, how does it make us feel? Is it scary? Is it exciting? Like, what comes up for you today? Uh, be prepared to make mistakes. See what happens. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn and to grow and reflect on things that we think we could have done differently. You're here making an effort and creating change, and that's what we want to see. We want to burn away the excess so that we can clear the way for change. And with the spring equinox, this is a perfect time for this practice. So we are starting to invite more warmth and more sun, and with that comes change and growth. So I will ask you to think about an intention that you would like to set for today, something that you want to burn away maybe for today's practice. And take a deep breath and just set that intention for your practice. And then when you are ready, meet me in Sukhasana. Sit bones rooted into the earth, spine nice and long. Take a moment to just pick your shoulders up, draw them towards your ears, and then drop them down. Just kind of release. Take a couple breaths here and begin to tune into your practice. Letting go of whatever brought you here and what is to come. We'll begin with seated cat-cows. So on the inhale, hands on the knees, draw the chest forward, shoulder blades together. Exhale, round the spine and roll the shoulders forward. Inhale, drawing the chest forward. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, round the shoulders, and you can begin to do some atypical movement, rolling the shoulders and the chest through and then sending it back. Feeling into all of those little corners of your body. Feel into your spine. Feel into the spaces between your vertebrae, into the ribs. Notice your breath. Nice and slow here. If you've done circles, maybe going the other way. Maybe pausing in the middle and just doing some neck rolls, drawing the chin towards the chest and gently drawing the left ear to the left shoulder, and then back through center, right ear to the right shoulder. Working with your breath at your pace. And when you're ready, meet me in a kneeling position. You can tuck a little blanket underneath your knees here. We'll prepare for a brief toe squat. So tucking the toes under. If sitting back on the heels can be a little spicy, so if it's a little too spicy for you, you can take the mild version or whatever version feels good to you. Play around with where you want your hands. You can place your hands in front of you. Walking them out towards the front of the mat brings the pressure towards your hands and off your toes. So just playing around with where feels good to you, where you want to hold this stretch. Really stretching out the soles of our feet, pressing our palms into the earth. Our palms are connected to our solar plexus, to our seat of confidence and where we feel empowered. If there's a narrative that you've been telling yourself about, I don't know, anything, negative self-talk, anything that's bringing you down, send that through your hands into the earth and ask the earth to hold it for you. Release it there. And we'll come forward to Sphinx. So bring your belly to the mat, forearms to the mat, elbows just in front of the shoulders. Pressing into the earth with our forearms, fingertips spread nice and wide. Draw the shoulder blades together and open the heart center. Open it to the front of the room. You can close your eyes here or place your head on a block. It might feel nice to find a place where your head can be supported and allow your neck to release a little bit. We get stressed out, a lot of us hold some tension in our neck, and it can feel good to either let your head hang heavy or be supported here. Let go of any tension that you may be holding anywhere in your legs. Allow it to release, maybe shake them out a little bit, and then just find some stillness. Any of that tension is not needed here. We are fully supported. Our belly is pressed into the earth. Breathe through the navel center. Mindful breathing here. Easy inhale and exhale. Allow the breath to flow effortlessly. And lower all the way down, resting your forehead on your forearms, just pausing here for a couple of breaths. And then draw the hands under the shoulders, pressing back. Find a wide-legged child's pose. So bringing the big toes together, knees width of the mat. We're going to use our bolster today. So placing your block underneath your bolster like this, and then bolster goes on top. Snuggle up to it, and then we're going to place our hands underneath and rest our head however is comfortable for you, to one side or forehead to the bolster. Snuggle in. Allow the hips to release, to sink towards the earth here. And slowly press them back, removing the bolster to the side. Coming through to tabletop, knees stacked underneath the hips, wrists stacked underneath the shoulders. And step or gently walk the right foot forward to meet the hands on the outside of the right hand. So whatever way is intuitive to you. And we'll inhale, pressing through that right foot. Arms come up, reaching length in the spine. Tiny little back bend here. Interlace the fingers and place them behind the right knee. Make any adjustments you need to make to feel like your hips are square with the mat. So you may want to walk your right foot in a little bit, maybe walk it out a little, whatever feels good to you. If it doesn't feel good to be square to the front of the mat, just do what feels right to your body. All of our bodies are different, so everything's just a suggestion. We can make modifications to make us feel good and supported in these poses. Slightly deepen your lunge. Feel into the stretch in that front left hip flexor. Nice and gentle. Allow the hips to sink towards the earth. And you can stay here or bring the hands down to blocks on either side or to the inside of that right foot, deepening the lunge a little more. Again, finding that edge of like, oof, this is real spicy, and then backing off a little bit. Breathe into those spaces that are feeling tight and tense. Invite release. Create space in those places. If your hands are down to the earth, again, releasing anything through our palms into the earth, pressing away, supporting ourselves here. On the next exhale, pressing back into a brief half split, toes pointed towards the front of the mat. And coming back through tabletop, nice and gentle. Stepping or walking that left foot forward now to meet the hands outside of the left hand. And on the inhale, arms coming up overhead, reaching towards the sky, little tiny back bend here. Interlace the fingers and place them behind the left knee. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Check in with your hips. Check in with your alignment. Do you feel a little wonky? See if you can find a more stable position. Feel free to tuck the toes. That helps sometimes as well. Or a gentle traction, drawing the legs closer together. Just a sense of drawing them using the mat for traction. Once you get settled in, tune back into your breath. Find your anchor here. Our breath can be an anchor both on and off the mat. We find ourselves in situations where our tapas is a little overactive and we're feeling a little chaotic, a little ungrounded. We can come to our breath and pause and notice and find our center. Even if it's just for a moment, to give yourself some space to recalibrate. Maybe inviting breath work into your day, making that your practice for the next week or 30 days. I do invite you to think of something that you can incorporate for the next 30 days, something that is simple that you think you can be self-disciplined about. Maybe it's just taking a deep breath before getting out of bed every day. And if you're ready, go ahead and deepen into that, bringing the hands to blocks or to the inside of the left foot, making any adjustments as needed, sinking the hips towards the earth. We'll have 5 more breaths here. And on that last exhale, pressing back for that half split. And bringing the left foot back, moving into melting heart. You can use props in a few different ways. You can do melting heart from tabletop, walking the hands out and coming to the elbows on the mat, palms together and allowing the chest to move through the shoulders. You can also come to blocks, so placing blocks about where your shoulders are, a little further out, elbows to blocks, or to a bolster. You can bring your bolster to the front of the mat and place your arms out in front, palms together, keeping the knees in line with the hips and allowing the chest to sink through the shoulders. If this becomes a little too intense, feel free to take child's pose or any other supporting posture. Listening to our bodies, tuning into those subtle messages. We won't be here too long. And slowly coming out of this pose in whatever way is intuitive to you, gently backing up. We'll come into soft butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together, kind of how we had our bolster before, bringing our block in front and placing our bolster on top, adjusting where you want that to be. You can also place a second block if you need it to be a little bit closer to you. And then finding a nice long spine, taking a few breaths here, and slowly walking the hands out and wrapping them either around the front or holding onto your blocks, whatever works for you. Resting your head here, forehead, or turning to one side, just allowing the earth to come a little closer to you. And release the blocks, gently coming up. We'll move into supported fish. And supported fish we can do with a bolster for, we'll call that setting one to start out with. So you can do supported fish, just bringing your feet hip distance apart, gently walking your hands back and laying down on your bolster, spine, and line, bringing the arms out to the sides. You can also do this with a block. So if you'd like to use a block instead, you can place a block about where your shoulder blades will be, and then laying back on that block takes a little more finagling. You can bring the soles of the feet together, letting the knees fall open, bringing the legs out long, heels touching the earth. Allow your heart to open here, your heart space to be open to the sky. Breathing in loving intentions for yourself. We can use an affirmation here. I am enough. I am enough. Or maybe I am empowered, or I am powerful. Notice what comes up for you when we incorporate affirmations. Does it feel true to you? Does it resonate, or is there some resistance to an affirmation? And maybe exploring that through journaling or reflection after class. Carrying our practice with us off the mat. And gently come out of the pose, removing any props and coming back to laying flat on your back, head facing me. We will move into twisted roots. Alicia, I'll have you do a seated twist. Laying on your back, feet hip distance apart. We'll start by just gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. So soles of the feet to the earth and gently rocking the knees side to side. Coming back through center, press through the feet, lifting the hips up and shifting them to the left. Place the right leg over the left and let the knees fall to the right. You can place a block underneath the knees, maybe as a little bit of extra support if you'd like that. Allow the arms to come out to a T, and gaze comes over the left fingertips. Think here about, in this twist, activating that core, that solar plexus area, waking it up, wringing out any toxins, even toxic thoughts about ourselves. On the inhale, gently drawing the knees back up through center and unwinding. Shift the hips back through the middle and pull the knees in towards the chest, grabbing wherever you can, ankles, shins, behind the thighs, socks even, wherever you can, and just rocking side to side, releasing our lower back, and dropping the feet back down to the mat. This time, lifting the hips up, pressing through the feet, and shifting the hips over to the right. Crossing the left leg over the right and allowing the knees to fall to the left. Again, using any blocks or props that you need to feel supported here. Arms come out to a T and gaze comes over the right fingertips. Notice how it is to breathe here, how it is to breathe with our bellies twisted. and drawing the knees back up through center, gently unwinding. Pull the knees in towards the chest. One more time, rocking side to side, maybe little circles. We'll come into a supported bridge, so bringing the soles of the feet down to the mat again and locating one of your blocks. When we press through, our feet will be lifting our hips and placing our sacrum on our block. You'll want to place it on the widest side, so that largest surface area. Pressing through your feet, lift the hips up and place that block underneath your sacrum, which is right below your lower back. You don't want it on your lower back, but just below. And allow the hips to rest there. The weight in our shoulders pressing into the earth. Tuck the chin towards the chest slightly, creating a little more space in your cervical spine. Hands can rest at your sides or on your rib cage. I like to rest mine on my rib cage and just invite some awareness to my breath. If you'd like to move up to the next setting, pressing through the feet, lifting the hips, and placing your sacrum on this longer side of the block. Just be aware that there is less surface area, so it can be a little less stable. Make sure that you are being safe for your body. Press through the feet, lifting the hips, releasing the block, letting the hips come back down to the mat. Rolling over to our right side, we'll move into half Buddha. So you can place a blanket on your mat for your hips because sometimes the floor can be a little much. But laying on your right side, hips stacked, ankles stacked, elbow underneath the shoulder, forearm pressed into the mat, pressing away from the earth. Jenny, if it feels good to you to have it like this, if not, that's okay too. It's okay. I just was like, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an option too. If you want to do that, you can. Here we're feeling into the expansion of the right side of our rib cage. Bringing awareness to our breath here. Feeling into all of those little spaces. Close your eyes and see if you can tune in just to the spaces between each rib. Notice all the little subtle movements our body is making to keep us stable and supported here. And place the left hand on the mat, extending the right arm out long. Allow your head to rest on your arm here, pausing. We'll move to the opposite side. I'm just going to swing around here, but you can roll over or however you would like to be, whatever's intuitive to your body. Again, stacking the hips, ankles in line with the hips, ankles stacked, elbow underneath the shoulder, forearm really pressing away from the earth here. We don't want to be sinking down into our shoulder, pressing away, closing our eyes and tuning in. If you feel a little bit wobbly, don't be afraid to put your right hand on the mat in front of you for support. And if you ever want to just lay down and take a nap, you can. That works too. That's okay. We're here to listen to our bodies and give them what they need. Good. Right hand to the mat, left arm extends. Allow your head to rest on your arm. And when you're ready, we'll move into our final Shavasana. So rolling over onto your back. Take up some space on your mat. Let your feet fall open. Arms out to your sides or resting on your rib cage. Palms facing up to receive, palms facing down to ground. Let go of any shape of your breath. And allow your breathing to just become normal and easy. Feel the weight of your body fully supported here. Let go of any thoughts of judgment or criticism towards yourself for not being able to be where you thought you should be, or feeling like you should be somewhere that someone next to you is. Let go of all those thoughts, all the self-doubt, all the worries. You're here today. You're practicing tapas by simply arriving, by being here and making an effort for change. Change doesn't come often during times of rest or times when things are going well. It comes from doing something different or from upset in our lives where we notice we need a shift. So, whatever it is that brought you here today, that brings you back to your mat each time, that creates change in you, tune into that tapas within you. Begin to deepen the breathing. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Coming back into our physical bodies, back into the space. In whatever way is intuitive to you, making your way to Sukhasana, easy seated pose facing me. Nice and gentle. Take a big inhale, circle, sweep the arms up. Hands together, exhale, sigh it all out. Hands at heart center. Tune in for a second and just notice how your body feels. This is where we started. This is where we're ending our practice. Notice how you feel energetically. We did a little bit of cleaning, cleansing, purification in our body today, burning away old thought patterns, ideas about ourselves, narratives, stories we've been telling ourselves. We arrived here and we're here for a practice. It means that some days our practice is going to be more difficult than others, but we're still showing up. We're still here creating space for ourselves to connect, to be, to nourish as we head into this spring season. I hope that you can cultivate these practices into your daily lives, nourishing your energetic and physical bodies, finding a place of being centered and grounded, knowing that life will inevitably throw us a curveball. But if we come back to these practices of mindfulness, we can come back to ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed today's practice and that you will join me again next week or Thursday of this week. Take another deep inhale in. Exhale, sigh it all out. Sat Nam. May you vibrate as your truest self, your favorite version of you as well. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.